Have you ever put a pin into a bulletin board? Have you ever discovered something in the earth? Have you ever seen a skewer in the kitchen? Have you ever used a fork to eat? Well, what's the chess equivalent to that? There are all these different tactics that you can figure out in chess. Let's look at the simplest. And by the way, almost all of these will pretty much almost guaranteed to happen in your chess, or will happen in your chess career, maybe even all in a game. The first one's the simplest. It's called the pin. So let's move our rook to the square c1. That pins the queen to the king. If the queen has to sit in the c file. If the queen tries to run away, the computer's going to go eh. If the queen was away, then the rook would be checking the king, and we all know that's illegal. So the queen is just in the c file, or otherwise the king would be in check. So the queen has to give herself away, and after king takes c1, white is doing much, much better in this endgame. Let's go back. There were a lot more tactics in this position. What's a skewer? Well, white can actually play the move rook to c8, and that's almost as good as rook to c1. You could also take the knight, but this move is a little stronger since it forces the king to move and wins the queen. What's the difference between a pin and a skewer? Well, they're actually the exact same thing, but a pin is when the less important piece is in front, say this position. This is the piece that's in front, and it's less important. But a skewer is when the more important piece is in front. The king is more important than the queen. The king moves, you better make sure he at least gets the rook off the board. Whatever takes, white is, of course, winning. Now, let's go back to our opening position. What's a discovered attack? If you play the move f4, it's a discover attack on the black king. Because the bishop never moved, the pawn discovered the bishop, because the bishop now checks the king. When the king moves, we'll say here, you can just pick up the pawn. And the final tactic is called a fork. A fork is when the same piece attacks two pieces, and either the less important piece is undefended, or it's worth less. So white can play the move knight to e5, which attacks the king and the rook. The king is the more important piece, so white has to save the king, and then knight takes g6, wins the rook. And by the way, if black was a super pawn move, then we actually have a pin. Yeah, we learned that before. So these are all the combinations that you can have in a chess position. This is totally winning for white because of all the combinations. I hope that you can learn how to use these in your games, and maybe you can win a game in the endgame.